Oh, I should probably turn the music off. Brian, good luck today, man. I see you, what was I gonna say? What did you just put in the thing not too long ago? Who are you on the same team as? Nogadator? Oh my god. I'm getting like Season 9 flashbacks right about now. This is fantastic. I love to see it. We are so freaking back, ladies and gentlemen. This is just the most fantastic thing probably ever in the history of ever, in my opinion anyway. And what a track to do it on as well. I mean, Albert Park Circuit, Melbourne, Australia. In my opinion, starting to become one of those things where this is getting to be one of the best tracks on calendar. Like, I just love this. I really do. And honestly, I have never been so excited. Who could be calling me now? I apologize, my mother's calling me real quick. Is it choppy on my end or yours? Because I'm looking at my stream and it looks fine, honestly. And I haven't gotten any notifications saying my internet isn't good enough to stream. If it messes up, then fine. You know, I'll have the hard recording anyway. But honestly, as I have never been more excited to record a Grand Prix. I really haven't. I mean, it's been a while. It's been like, I mean, it could be. As I say that, now I'm starting to, the people's connections. Oh, no, we're doing alright. This has been genuinely, I have not known what to do with myself over the past couple of months where I have not actually commentated any Midwest F1 or anything else, realistically. Travis Scott? Bro, the Kick Sauber? Hey, let me tell you something. Nico Hülkenberg did a podium. I think Travis Scott could probably win today's damn Grand Prix if he's able to. And I'm going to be honest with you. You know what's good for me is that there are a lot of names here that I do recognize. There's also some names that I don't recognize off the top of my head. Drizmic, I don't recall having too many races casting. Race Chase, maybe like 5 Grand Prix at the most. Ayahuasca, I commentated a lot of his Div 2 races. Shankadelic is a fantastic name, and I have not ever seen that. And I hear he's pretty quick. I think he's won a race already this season, so we are totally vibing right about now. And I am thrilled to be here. As well next week, as far as I'm concerned. If the schedule lines up correctly, let me go ahead one more time. I gotta look at my baseball game schedule. I believe at this time next week, even the minor leagues are on the All-Star break, so I need to double check that, because if they are, like I think we are, then I will be back for the reverse circuit of Silverstone. Next week, Thursday the 17th, our team is on the All-Star break, so I will be back for that as well. I am so thrilled to be here. Oh my god, I feel like screaming right now, but the rest of the house is probably asleep, so we are going to rock with this. 25 seconds to blast off. I mean, come on now. Alright, friends, it's been a while. Welcome to the Albert Park Circuit in Melbourne, Australia for the 4th round of this 16th Division 1 season. Are you serious? We've done 16 of these damn things? We got the 5th 5-year anniversary Grand Prix coming up eventually. But for tonight, as a matter of fact, that's on August 7th. But tonight, what we do have for you is the Albert Park Circuit in Melbourne, Australia. One of my newfound favorites, not only in the game, but in real life as well. Since the reconfigurations took place in 2021, 2022, this place has been just such a fantastic place to visit every single season. I'm so glad that my first race back since the end of season 13, I want to say, is here on such a glorious circuit. From the land down under. Terrible accent, I know. But we'll take you a quick look now. Just really quick, we'll go through what our... Oh my days, it is pissing it down at the moment. I don't know if this is... Oh my god, that... I'm dreadfully sorry, that telemetry, I'm not turning that on. That looks just so terrible. But it is definitely raining here. I want to say we've got Edwin on the full wets right now. I think that is the default tire it's put us on. The pit lane is definitely greasy to say the least, but is it enough for full wets? Well, we'll have to find out. That looks like a set of intermediates in the garage of Oscar Piastri. But, so far this season, Race Day 2016, who not only won the championship in season 13, 14, and apparently 15, if I've read it correctly. 3 championships on the bounce, and by the way, if he wins this one... Actually, wait. Yeah. If he wins this one, he will tie Scornsey for the most Midwest F1 championships in history. So that is just such a huge thing to keep an eye on. This camera angle is not good. I clearly did not edit the TV pod setting, but I want to say this. Nicky64, the first car out on track, he is on the full wet tires. Again, the track does look absolutely slippery. It looks like an ice rink right about now. Is it too much for the intermediates? Is it too little for the full wets? I'm not entirely sure, but what I can tell you is that this is going to spell disaster for some of those guys that only really got running done and practice done on the dry tires. I mean, this game doesn't allow you to take time trials in the wet anymore, so this is going to be quite the experience here. And we do have some typing in the chat going on. I don't believe if you are in the Division 1 chat, I don't think you probably would be, and also racing. I'm just going to message. Just asking for a weather report at the moment. We'll get back to that as well. Nicky64 making his way in towards Sector 3 now. As far as the schedule is concerned this season, Race Day 2016 taking the season opener in Bahrain with no line. Shankadelic, 2 wins, however, on the bounce. And I've been kicked from the game. Oh, fantastic. Okay, this is what we just like to see. Just when we thought things were fixed, they have to remind me why they were broken in the first place. Just brilliant. We love to see it. We just love to see this just nonsense that keeps giving us... It's the gift that keeps on giving. Thankfully, Shariah has sent me some invites very, very quickly, so I'm quite thankful for him for the job that he has done to get me back into the session as quick as I possibly can, assuming that this game lets me, and I don't believe that it immediately has, which is... Oh, this is going to kill me. It really is, because I've done nothing wrong to these people. I need another invite if possible. Oh, we just love to see it. We really do. This is the thing. This is the return to glory. Every time I kind of wondered to myself why I stepped away from EA Sports F1, it's mostly because this game is just such a heaping pile of shit. That's kind of the only way to describe it, realistically. But Shankadelic, 2 wins on the bounce. At both the, I believe one of them was Miami. Yes, it was China in round 2. Miami in round 3 on the 4th of July Eve. So we're going to get back into the session here. Hopefully it does not kick me again. If I have to restart the stream, so be it. I would rather hope to not do that, as it does seem to be running quite well on my end. I just don't know why the game chooses to not like me. That's fine. Maybe I should start talking nice about EA. Maybe it listens to me and tells me if I tell it that it's doing a good job, that potentially it won't leave me pantsless like this. EA, you are doing phenomenally. Your game is not broken at all. Kate Thomas has allegedly set the fastest lap at 1:36.453. He is on the full wet tires as well. Houdini is the only driver currently to have fit the intermediate. As a matter of fact, everybody else has gone to the wet. I think we did have some early runners on the intermediate tires. That is no longer the case. I think they've decided that this is too much for the full wets. But that's going to be a very interesting turn of events now, because as always, when you have a session like this, where it is in the full wet session, at least in qualifying, do drivers mess with their setups to be able to get, some sort of what do they sacrifice more, right? Do they sacrifice race pace? Do they sacrifice qualifying pace? You know what I mean? Do you put on a more conservative setup and higher wings and whatnot in the wet? It's softer suspension to be able to get yourself in a good position for the race in the dry? Or do you kind of do it the other way around? You sacrifice what you have for the wet, for the qualifying session, put on your race setup, and just kind of hope for the best. I think that might be kind of the case. But what I can tell you is this. Nicky64, 1:36.363. He's actually cleared his teammate by just under a tenth of a second there, 9/100ths of a second. So Nicky64 has done a phenomenal job. What a fantastic potential race we've got for you here, the Albert Park Circuit, Melbourne, Australia, the first Grand Prix it ever held, 1996. We're doing 50% distance today, so the 50% of the 58-lap distance in real life is that of 29 laps. That's what we will have for you today. The lap record in real life is held by Charles Leclerc at a 1:19.813. What I will say is this. If you look at the time trial screens, Ayahuasca and that Sauber is at, well, he's not got a front. Oh my God, the front wing is totally gone on that car. I'm not even gonna lie, it's just not even there. It is fallen off. The whole everything is gone from that Sauber. I've never seen such a thing. And he appears to be staying out on track, so I think maybe is this just something on my end? I don't know what to tell you, but the front wing is not there on that car. But anyway, Ayahuasca on the time trial screens is in the 1/16s. Okay, for what it's worth, I've only just kind of cracked into the 1/18s, low 1/19s, high 1/18s on my own lap. So I mean, I don't know what to expect here from Ayahuasca. This being in the wet as well, it's definitely going to be a task. Houdini actually now has taken to the track in his intermediate tires. So what that tells me, or at least he did. Who is on the inters right now? Anybody? Do have Cake Thomas on the inters. He's in the pit lane though. Nicky64, 1:34.773. So does that tell me the track is starting to ramp up just a slight bit? That's kind of what I'm starting to believe. I could be wrong. Okay, but I'm not entirely sure what the case is going to be. We do see a lot of drivers now starting to choose the intermediate tires. Race Chase, Shiraya, Cali Rob as well. All trying to put those intermediate tires on. What I can say is this, is that the water being evacuated definitely appears to be more than the water sticking to the track right about now. It is definitely still quite a glossy and greasy surface out there, but for what it's worth, it does look halfway raceable for the intermediate tires. It did not look this good earlier on in the session when we first started. That's why we are seeing more of these drivers flock to the inters. Shiraya Koslaw is our first driver, I think, on a representative lap on the intermediate tires. Let's see what he's got to deal with here, making his way through turn number 5 in towards the braking zone at 6-7, as he makes his way through there. That did look very difficult to be able to go through, I will admit. And even then, trying to turn the car around the bend at turn 8 before heading into the DRS zone, obviously not working in these conditions, but even through there, that car was slipping and sliding worse than a child at a 4th of July party. I mean, come on now. As Gunnar appears to have retired from the session, is that in the pit lane? I'm not entirely sure if that Ferrari's in the pit lane or not. There's a Ferrari on track, and I believe it's Cali Rob. Yes, it is, so I'm going to assume that guy, Gunnar Addy, has retired in the pits. Back over to race day. Now, race day has apparently fit these intermediate tires. That's his best lap. It's still 3 seconds off the pace. Shiraya, as we were just looking at now, is making his way into the penultimate corner at turn 13 and eventually 14 after that. And you can just see he's tiptoeing through the tulips there, through that final corner. I do not expect this to be towards the top. I could be wrong. I hope I am. And, well, actually, I tell you what, fair effort from him. Not a bad lap whatsoever there for what it's worth. I mean, 2 3/4 of a second off the pace of Nicky64. But I tell you what, hats off for the bravery out there. As well, I mean, only about 66% of the grid has actually put together a timed attempt. We have a lot of drivers waiting in the pit lane. Gunnar has retired. Weeb does not have a time. Houdini, Senior, Lancey, Chase, and Cali Rob, none of them have times on the board for the time being, with 8 minutes left to go. So does that tell me that eventually it will begin to dry out? Well, that could be the case. We'll have to wait and find out. I'm not entirely sure. Shankadelic, 1:33.706. That's put an additional 0.2 of a second back to Nicky64. Nearly 0.3 of a second. I tell you what, Nicky's putting some great laps down for the time being. Shankadelic, however, has got the better of him for the time being. Just a quick look at the schedule coming up. We do have coming up next the reverse circuit Grand Prix at the Silverstone Circuit. That is something I am very, very excited for. I think that run from the Hamilton Straight there, in through Club, and then backwards through Vale and up the hill through Stowe. I think that is going to make for a phenomenal opening lap and rest of the Grand Prix as well. That track has so many intricacies in the forwards direction, never mind in reverse. Following that, we go to Spa. Well, I mean, what a great 5 races we've got on the bounce. Oh, okay, this season, let me tell you, haven't looked at the schedule for the first time since probably actually paying attention to the F1 side of things in this league once again. His fire up flow, 133.354. He's got 3.5 tenths back to, I almost said Shankadelic. We've got such a great season here for you. The remaining races go like this. Silverstone Reverse, Spa, Imola, Canada for the 5th anniversary Grand Prix on August the 7th. Suzuka, Monza, Reverse Netherlands, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Austria, and Brazil. Whoever put this schedule together, by goodness me, you've done a hell of a job. That's all I'm going to say to that. Ayahuasca on track. 132.442. That car is still missing a front wing, as you can see. I mean, I don't know how it's doing it with no downforce at the moment, but goodness me, that car is quick. But as I said, I mean, I was doing the research before the game, running some time trial laps of my own, trying to find out if the football had left me or not. And Ayahuasca and the 116's in the dry. What will he be able to do in today's session? Well, I tell you what, Cake Thomas put together a good lap on the inters. 133, I think that said 323, something like that. He's done phenomenally for the time being. On those intermediate tires, I tell you what, the rain, still heavy, but for what it's worth, these guys are definitely finding the grip and finding the ability to race on these intermediate tires for the time being. I think they're doing a phenomenal job with the conditions that are definitely present. So we'll have to wait and see. As you can see, a line is starting to remotely clear, as Cake Thomas now making his way in through 6, 7, and 8. You can start to begin to see a bit of a dry line forming. It's not entirely there, but you can definitely start to see kind of where we're running here. Ayahuasca back into the pit lane, still on pole. Thank you very much, Evil Prime, for that information. I was very hoping so. If you missed it, I got kicked from the session not too long ago, towards the beginning of it, just because this game obviously... I tell you what, yeah, I mean, it's so fun to see all these familiar faces as well. Ayahuasca to the pit lane. As I said, I got kicked from the session. I think what it is because I talked too much crap about EA, so I'm just going to sweet talk them for now until the end of time, and hopefully I won't actually be kicked from any sessions anymore. Ayahuasca in the pit lane, 4 minutes 25 remaining in the session. Cake Thomas on the inters. He's going to be starting another timed lap. Well, no, never mind. No, I tell you what, of all these drivers that I've seen, I only don't recognize maybe 2 of them. Everybody else, I have some sort of commentary experiences. I tell you what, Evil Prime, I have no idea how he's done this season. This is my first race commentating for Midwest F1 since the end of season 13. So it has been quite a while. What I do know is that Race Day 2016 has won 3 titles on the bounce, and if he wins his 4th on the bounce, he will tie Scornsey with 5 titles and have the most in Midwest F1 history. So, fantastic information there. 3 minutes 30-ish remaining in the session. Shankadelic making his way through Sector 2. Does not appear to be on a timed lap quite yet, although what I will say, he has fit the intermediate tires. And we can start to see it's about a 50-50 split between those on the wets and the inters, as I was kind of saying a moment ago. We are starting to see a bit of a dry line format. I'd hardly say dry, but definitely a noticeable, less wet patch on the circuit. You can definitely start to see where that's coming in. So are the inters the right call? I'm not sure, because the tops time of the table is currently set on the wets at a 132.442. So, am I wrong? I could be. More often than not, I am. But when I am wrong, I learn, and that's why I'm okay with it. Shankadelic, who's won 2 races on the bounce, both round 2 in China, round 3 in Miami, about ready to start a timed lap here. I'm beginning to think one of his final timed attempts of the session. Here he goes into turn 1. You want to brake right about that 100-meter board, potentially earlier as well, but these guys can do a lot more braking with no ABS than I can with ABS, so I'm not entirely sure. Down the straight out of turn 2, heading in towards turn 3, brake right about there at the safety car LED board, through the corner, nice and tight to the apex. Try your best to get back on throttle through 3 and 4. It's a bit tricky. Try not to take all that curb, as he's nearly gone round. through 5. This is always a difficult one. To the inside of the circuit, that's a Williams who's gone off. Acceleration, 6, 7, and 8. Try to cut as much as you can to the inside. Well, I have to say for Shankadelic, he has missed that corner pretty much outright. So, I don't believe this is going to be a continuing lap from him. As you can see, his battery's getting recharged. That's going to do it for him. Race day 2016. Our champion, reigning, defending, undisputed, about to get ready to make a lap here. Shariah Coleslaw has taken the top spot, 1:32.204. This track is definitely ramping up. Is it enough, though, to be comfortable on the intermediate tires? That I'm not so convinced of. As again, Ayahuasca, prior to having now just been knocked off the top spot, had provisional pole by, what was it, like 4/10 of a second. So, we'll have to wait and see. And Ayahuasca, by the way, only now, yes, is taking the intermediate tires. The very few drivers are still on the full wets, if I'm to be corrected. Yeah, it was about 50% of the drivers about 3 minutes ago. It is now, I would say, definitely less than that. Race Chase on the wets, Fire Up Flow on the wets, although I would have to say Fire Up Flow will be making his final attempt this next time by. Brian Mosser has chosen the inters. Shariah does not appear to be on a timed lap. He'll be coming through the final stages of the lap now. Ayahuasca is now beginning his final attempt. Cake Thomas will be starting his eventually as well. Ayahuasca out of turn 2, making his way. As Travis Scott, the top spot, 1:37.49. He's got that by a second and a half, by the way. That's an insane amount of gap for this stage of the qualifying session. I don't know what he's just done to put that car in the top spot, but he's done it, and he's done it correctly. Ayahuasca through Sector 1 towards Sector 2. Now, bit of a tank slapper there on the back end, making his way through 5. He's 0.8 of a second quicker in Sector 1. This is where he'd went off on the time before, and it looks as if, or was that Race Chase? I forget either one. Making his way now through Sector 2. Don't know how this car is in a straight line. We'll have to wait and see when he gets to the timing line before the switchback. And he is quicker by over a second, so assuming Ayahuasca nails the back end of this lap, this one could definitely be pole position for the Weedman in the Sauber. Coming around the line now is one of the Williams. It was that of Gottney Weeb. I believe he's only just gone P16 if he's not starting a new one. Brian Mosser, best he can do is 13th. Around the line now is the Haas of Drismic. He's gone 8th. Good lap for him, but will it be enough to maintain the top spot? I'm not entirely sure. The Mercedes of Edwin around the line, only P17. Not good for him. Callie Robb on the wets has gone a second and a half. P8 now with Shankadelic. Well, he's had a good lap, but all he can manage is 4th. Travis Scott's making his way. Oh, that's a big slide there from Travis Scott. His teammate of Ayahuasca has gone nearly 130 flat, and he's put 0.6 of a second behind his teammate. Nicky 64, 0.2 slower actually through Sector 1, 6/100ths quicker through Sector 2, but he's gone over the curb on the inside of the corner. That lap is no good. Race day heading into the final stages of the lap now. Coming across the line, we now have the Alpine of Cake Thomas. At the line for him, he's gone second. He's taken 2.5 seconds off of his time. Still half a second behind Ayahuasca. That is an insane statistic for Ayahuasca. Out of the final corner is Fire Up Flow. Across the line for him, he'll move up to 11th. Not a bad attempt from him. We got the Red Bull of Race Chase coming across the line now, followed by the Mercedes of Race Day. Race Chase across the line, 8th. Race Day to the top, 129.678, and behind him the Racing Bull of Lancey to 3rd. Behind him, the Aston Martin of Element in 10th. This will be your qualifying order. Race Day, 3 championships on the bounce, and he's done himself well here. He hasn't won since the opening round in Bahrain, but I tell you what, pole by 0.4 of a second over Ayahuasca, who was putting down some great laps, let's be real. Lancey 3rd, Cake Thomas 4th, Travis Scott 5th. Nicky 64, 6th, Shariah 7th, got the pair of the Red Bulls 8th and 9th. Rounding out the top 10 is going to be that of Element, who, I tell you what, when I used to watch the races of Element, I tell you what, he was not always the favorite. It's good to see him put in a great qualifying effort here. But once again, run you through the top 10. Race day, Ayahuasca, Lancey, your top 3, by about 0.6 of a second between the 3 of them. It drops off to nearly a second, and then eventually a second for Cake Thomas back to Travis Scott. Nicky 64, Shariah, the Red Bull duo of Shankadelic and Race Chase 8th and 9th. Element rounds out the top 10. Race Chase had the best time of anybody on the wets. Callie Robb, Fire Up Flow, Drismic, Houdini, Weeb, Mosser, Josh, Edwin, and Gunner round out the order. Gunner did not put down a timed attempt on the board tonight, and it's otherwise pretty much a Mercedes sandwich for the rest of the grid. How about that? What a session that was. drying out at the perfect times towards the back end of the session. Even some guys still finding some pace on the wets. That was a fun one. And into the Grand Prix we go. What will the weather gods give us now? And it's a bright and sunny day here in the land down under. What a fabulous looking day this is as well, because just the amount of DRS that comes into play on this circuit, it really does have to be said. We are just in for a phenomenal race. That's all I have to say. I am so glad to be back here. Going live as well. Could you believe that? Since the year, I think it was 2019, probably earlier, I've been playing on an iPhone hotspot, and finally I find a way to to no longer become an internet caveman, and I'm back here streaming F1. This is actually the first time I've streamed Midwest F1 live, at least from my own home, so I am rocking with this. Tell you what, I'll be totally honest with you. Having gone to at least the Saturday of the Canadian Grand Prix this year, my interest and passion for F1 and commentating on these games has definitely gotten rejuvenated, tell you the truth. It was one of those things not exactly losing interest in, but you kind of felt as if you were just getting into a kind of a rut and saying the same things over and over again. Well, I tell you what, we are here, we are ready, and we're just going to have such a fantastic race today. I can already feel it. Any time I have commentated a race here in Midwest F1, it has not been a disappointment, save for probably some Monaco races, I'll be honest with you, but, that's something we ought to do. Let's get Monaco in reverse in the next game. Why not? Let's see, Let's do the devil's work and give the people what they want, eh? Just a reminder at the upcoming schedule, what we've got for you. As Callie Robb has rejoined, that's good. Just a reminder of the schedule coming back. Actually, let's run through the point standings. We've already gone through the schedule. Let's go through our point standings coming into today's Grand Prix. Fire Up Flow leads the points at 148 points. He only leads the top spot. Only leads second place Callie Robb by 3 points at a 145. Shariah at 120. He's tied with Shankadelic for that third spot at a 120. Race Chase and Gottney Weeb tied for that fifth spot at 118. Scornsy's actually done a bit of reserve driving. He finished second in both China and Miami, although not a full-time driver. Cake Thomas 8th. Race Day in 9th. Race Day, win in the first round, did not start last time out in Miami. Here's your race strategies. One stop, hard to medium, 16 to 17 is what the game tells us to do. Thankfully, I don't believe many people are going to listen to that. Specifically, Race Day. Race Day, look at him. He's on those soft tires. Tell you what, bit of a dare there from Race Day. I don't know. Of course, some of these guys, and I would assume most of them, at least for the time being, are going to have no idea what's going to be going on with these tires. That's one of the difficult things about going from a wet session to a dry session, is that you have to build up the confidence in the wet. And then any confidence you build up in the wet goes the wayside when you have to go back to the dry. And it does go vice versa as well. When you go to the dry qualifying session to a wet race, you do kind of start to get lost in translation as well. And I'm starting to think maybe we'll have to wait and see if that's the case, as well as especially these guys racing no line this week. Not that that's any challenge for our Division 1 drivers. These guys have been getting pretty good at that sort of thing, so I've got faith that they'll be able to do the business here. Houdini actually rounds out the top 10 in points at 109. He's not all that far away from getting up even to that 6th spot with a good result today. Of course, he'll have to do a bit of work starting from 14th as far as the constructors are concerned. The Red Bulls lead the way at 282 points. Ferrari's in second at 239. The Visa Cash App Racing Bulls F1 team and the Mercedes AM Tree Petronas F1 team tied for that third spot at 210 points. Williams in 5th, 196. Alpine, 190. Sauber, 172. Haas, 156. McLaren, 148. And Aston Martin at a 114. And as the grid begins to line themselves back up here. Well, Race Day's immediate rival, as he's not found his grid box correctly, Race Day's immediate rival of Shankadelic is starting all the way back in P8 Race day, if he wants to get himself back in contention for this championship, I mean, I'm not going to say he's out of it for the time being, but he definitely looks as if he's on the outside looking in. Let's see what he can potentially do here. He's got Ayahuasca lined up on the inside. Lancey, one of the most talented drivers we've seen in recent memory. Cake Thomas and Travis Scott getting himself into the picture, all looking to do some damage heading into this first corner. And I don't mean that legitimately. I mean it figuratively, hopefully, as 5 lights are on and they are off. Now, who gets off the line first and better? I would think it's almost, well, it's definitely going to be race day here, but Ayahuasca didn't get away too poorly, considering being on those hard tires. Into the first corner, race day does lead. Ayahuasca second. Travis Scott and Nikki 64 side by side going through turn 2 as they file their way out of the corner. Bit of jumbling going on behind. Nikki 64 into the corner, still trying to outbrake the Sauber on his way in, and he's done just that. Yes, he has. Travis Scott was able to do quite well, but just couldn't quite hold on to the position. Ayahuasca had no challenge for race day off the line, but again, Ayahuasca is going to be at the advantage in not a lot of time, considering race day being on those soft tires. They will be good for now. Will they hold on? The answer is probably not. Nikki 64 leads Travis Scott, who leads not Skankadelic, Shankadelic. Race chase now, trying to find the outside of Shariah in through the switchback. That's not going to go quite well. He's kind of eventually talked himself out of it, as I think a couple of drivers there are going to be picking up some track limits violations, having gone across that curb going through 8 and 9. Race day making their way through Sector 3, does still lead Ayahuasca by half a second. Lancey has dropped off a little bit, which is slightly concerning considering he's on those medium tires, you'd have to say. Unless he's playing it conservatively here, that's a bit of a worry. Cake Thomas fourth, Nikki 64, the only driver in the top 5 to have actually gained or lost a spot after this first lap. The biggest mover in the positive direction was GSR Edwin +3. The biggest loser, however, was that of Houdini down 2, Brian Mosser down 2, as Travis Scott's already a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings, and I believe that was going across the outside of turn 1 into the inside of turn 2. It's a difficult corner to get right, especially if you take that braking zone a bit late, and I think that's what he's done, at least this time. Where he's picked up the other 2 warnings, I'm not sure, as we've got the Haas of Drismic off at the back, exiting turn 3. That car has found its way back to the circuit, doesn't appear to have any damage, and the track stays green. Here goes what appears to be the Williams of Josh Sr. trying to put the moves on GSR Edwin through 6 and 7. Didn't quite get the move to go, but now Ayahuasca around the outside, heading into the switchback, and he's got it to go. Ayahuasca to the top spot. Race day will unfortunately lose that position, and I'm a little bit surprised at just how easy Ayahuasca was able to take that position. Race day's on the softs, albeit Ayahuasca had DRS, will be fair to that, but I mean, that one looked probably a little bit easier than it probably should have, I'm not going to lie. So Ayahuasca claims the top spot as we exit the second lap. Race day falls back to second again on those softs. I think he was hoping for an early safety car. He may still get Drismic's off in the gravel, and we'll have to wait and see if he can recover this one. It does appear that he will. Sorry, that was Gunner, I apologize. Drismic had the off earlier on, as once again Gunner appears to have taken a bit of a slide there. Making their way with DRS in towards turn number 3. It doesn't quite appear any moves are going to be made this time, except for Shankadelic to the inside of Travis Scott. That's a difficult braking zone to be able to get right and to make an overtake happen. And Travis Scott Shankadelic and Shariah have both done just that, as we've got Edwin off at the back, and he is in the gravel along with Josh Sr., and I think maybe was Brian Mosser caught up in that as well. I'm not entirely sure, but Edwin and Josh Sr. definitely 2 cars off in the gravel exiting 3, and unfortunately, well, I tell you what, man, nothing's really happened as far as that's concerned. Edwin is still up a couple of spots, and Sr. is still, I think, net 0 on that, so I guess it could be worse. Weeb has actually gotten around Element through the switchback. That's nicely done. Element's dropped 3 spots since the beginning of the race here. He had a great qualifying session. Oh, that's going to be a slide for Travis Scott. Yes, it was. The left rear tire got into the grass on the outside on the way into the braking zone. He is very lucky he was able to keep that car under control, because that's perfect for him and his race. He has dropped at least 2 positions there, but he's kept the car in one piece, and that's most important in this scenario. Nikki 64 will have DRS to his teammate of Cake Thomas. Will Cake have DRS up to Lancey? Yes, he will. Will he be able to make a move this time? I kind of doubt it. Race Chase is going to be next up in line. Will he be able to make a move on Shariah in towards turn 3? The answer is going to be no. We do have Travis Scott and Element side by side. Element to the inside of 3. Travis Scott was very close to going wide there on the exit. Oh, that one's gotten a bit closer. I don't think anybody's necessarily done anything wrong in this scenario between Element and Travis. I think that's just a pure racing incident, if I say so myself. Side by side now. Houdini will be... Oh, that's the Aston Martin off in turn 7. Yes, it is. Element had gone through the gravel there. It doesn't appear that he's hit anything, but that car had a bit of an off-road excursion not too long ago. Shiraya has not had a very good go there through, I believe that's 9 and 10. Not the best go through 9 and 10. He kind of hurt his forward progress there. Cake Thomas has actually gotten now within half a second of Lancey, having started the lap about 0.8 of a second behind. Ayahuasca, now we talked about how easily it appeared Ayahuasca was able to get around race day. He has since put about 2.5 seconds back to race day. And we kind of thought race day was going to start to fall back, considering he was on the soft tires. That appears to be the case. But I tell you what, we've had a lot of action. We've had a lot of offs. I think if race day wants an early safety car, he may still get it. There's no guarantee that this race is going to stay green here the whole time. That part, I think, is for sure. As we make our way in through turn 3. Travis Scott again. I think he's going to have to defend from Element. Element had a bit of a peak. Oh, Travis Scott has missed the braking zone. Yes, he has. He's really had to slam on him there to not go into the back end of Houdini, and he has ended up losing that spot to Element. That's unfortunate. That was almost catastrophic for Houdini as well as Travis Scott, and, you know, thankfully Element wasn't caught up in that one either, as we have another yellow flag. That is going to be, I believe, Brian Mosser. Yes, it is. He spun that car coming out of 4. Has he hit anything? I think the answer is no. So the track stays green for the time being. I was going to say it appeared the Alpines had swapped positions as I was in the middle of having a sip of beer. Cake Thomas has gone round. I think as he spun that car exiting turn 11, I don't really know where he's lost that. I actually have no idea where Cake Thomas had lost that car. I think it must have been coming out of turn 11. There's no other place, I think, where we would have lost the car like that. Race day 2016 into the pit lane onto the hards. Again, was the only driver to choose the soft rubber to begin this race. He has taken the knock for now. Does that help him on account of strategy? Can he take these hard tires 23 laps? That's got to be quite the task, it has to be said. So that'll put Ayahuasca at a 4.5, nearly 5-second lead over Lancey. Nicky 64 is over a second behind Lancey. He is not going to have DRS, as that was the detection point, and he was not within a second. Who will have DRS is Shankadelic. Shankadelic may have a fair go here as well. This just looks terrible with this camera angle. I apologize. It's just... Yeah, you're not going to convince me to keep that one on. I'm so sorry. I'm turning this off until I need it. So Shankadelic was not able to get him with DRS heading in towards turns 9 and 10. It doesn't appear that he's going to make up any ground either through turn 11. Although what I will say, Callie Robb now getting around Fire Up Flow. Fire Up Flow looks as if he's had a trip to the gravel exiting turn 11. It appears he's only lost the position to Callie Robb. That could be worse. Shankadelic now, I think he's going to have the opportunity here. Nicky does have DRS to Lancey ahead, and I think that is going to be the only reason Shank does not have this move made this time. However, coming out of turn 2, Lancey had a slight wiggle there. That wasn't the best getaway from the Dutchman. Will Nicky be able to challenge him into the corner? And the answer is going to be no. Nicky, I think, the most veteran driver on this grid. He's not going to go for a ridiculous lunge like that. However, Shankadelic, I tell you what, he is going to be sizing up the Alpine very shortly here. He's got him right where he wants him. And I think, oh, I tell you what, he's not had a good getaway at turn 6 and 7 there. That was actually slightly sloppy from the Red Bull. Nicky had got away much better, and I think Nicky's going to be able to hold on. DRS activated, making their way towards turn 9 and 10. Lancey's going to be able to stay ahead. It almost appeared as Lancey hit the wall there. I think that was maybe a glitch of internet connection on my end. But Shankadelic now peeks to the outside. We'll have to try to creep back to the inside, but he is not necessarily in position, I don't think, at the moment to make a lunge for this move. It appears he's quite confident with the spot he's in. He doesn't need to do anything to risk it, unless potentially, well, I was going to say, into the braking zone. That door was wide open for him. But potentially now. Of course, Nicky's going to have DRS again to Lancey. The slipstream will be weaker, as we do have fire up flow into the pit lane. I believe he started this race on the mediums. Yeah, it's going to be medium to medium for the McLaren. That's a little odd. Got any wave to the inside of Cake Thomas. I only just so happened to catch on to that move. Okay. Shankadelic goes another lap here without being able to make a solid attempt at Nicky. What I will say is this, as Lancey is trying to fend off the two drivers immediately behind him, Ayahuasca has added about an additional 3 seconds onto his gap to the car behind. He started when Cake Thomas had kind of slipped out of position. He had the gap of about 6 seconds. Or sorry, of 4 seconds. It's now about 7. As Shankadelic now trying the outside of Nicky 64. This is a bold one, and he is going to back out of it. I was about to say that one was going to get slightly ridiculous there. He's thought better of it. However, what I will say, this is inadvertently allowed both Shariah and Race Chase into the mix, potentially even Callie Robb. Starting the... Oh, the Red Bull of Shankadelic, he's gone wide. He's gone into the gravel, exiting the corner. I don't believe he's had contact from behind. I could be wrong, but I did not see anything. I think he could have just purely missed his braking zone there, and he has lost every spot he was ready to be made there. As he has fallen down to the 7th spot, Callie Robb will now have the ability to track down Race Chase potentially into the first corner. Nicky 64 will now remain unchallenged. Oh, he will go into the grass there, kind of, through turn 1. He didn't take that corner as clean. I would assume he's now on at least 2 warnings, as Shariah, the teammate of Lancey, up ahead of him. I kind of think Nicky might be at a disadvantage now, considering he does not have a teammate immediately in the mix. Remember, Cake Thomas was there for the longest of times, and then eventually had a trip to the gravel outside of turn 11 and fell back to the 10th spot, 11th spot. He's since clawed his way back up to 9th. I think a couple of pit stops have given him those positions. But either way, Ayahuasca still looking like he's going to be eclipsing 8 seconds of advantage any lap now. Again, we were talking about how quick that guy looked, at least in the time trial screens. I tell you what, he's putting him to use now. His fastest lap for the time being, as we have a yellow flag exiting turn 1. That is the Williams of Josh Sr., and I believe that may be a case. Yeah, those are definitely fresh, hard tires. I think that's just a case of cold tires right there, and I think Drismic is having similar issues for the time being. You know, coming out of the pit lane, those tires are not going to be up to temperature. And I think now we may potentially see Shariah make a move at Nicky, as Lancey's actually gained about 0.3 of a second somewhere along that previous lap. Callie Robb to the back end of Race Chase. This one may get interesting here. Bit of a lockup from somebody ahead as Travis Scott has now got his second warning. Oh, look at this! Race Day way deep into the corner. He's collected Cake Thomas in through 3. Houdini round the outside of 4. Houdini has what he's done there. He's not been able to overtake Race Day. I don't know if Race Day missed that braking zone outright or what, but he totally plowed into the side of Cake Thomas going in through 3. That car was never going to make that corner. And Cake Thomas is going to be feeling the effects of that one, and I do hope that Alpine is not missing wing, and it doesn't appear that he is, thankfully enough. Maybe I'm hoping he doesn't have side pod damage, something that we can't see. As meanwhile, Ayahuasca's lead has eclipsed 8 seconds. He's on a roll here. And no, that's not a pun about weed. I think that was just well, it could be if you wanted it to be. I don't really know. I don't do the weed. I only found out in like the 5th race I casted of him that was a weed thing. I don't know. Anyway, not the point. Lancey leads him down the pit straight. Nicky 64. Does he potentially have a move here into the corner? Nah. I think Nicky is kind of being smart here, because as Lancey is trying to use up these medium tires to keep himself ahead, Nicky's actually not taking the opportunities rather given to him, as Race Day's now got a 3-second penalty, and we got a yellow flag coming out of the final corner. That is Edwin, who appears to have gone for a slight spin somewhere along the line. But as I was saying, I think Nicky might be slightly better here when it comes to strategy, because he has had opportunity to overtake Lancey. He appears to be taking this one slightly more careful. You know, Lancey is having to really put the hammer down to try to outrun the Alpine behind him. Nicky has felt no threat from any of the drivers behind him. Shiraya, despite being within half a second, has not been close enough to make a move. Race chase, nor Shankadelic. Shankadelic did for a while, not quite anymore, as we have another yellow flag. I think Edwin's gone around again. Kelly Robb as well. We'll have another look at the tires. So everybody in the top 8 has yet to stop. Race Day is actually the only driver in the top. Race Day and Fire Flow are the only 2 drivers in the top 15 that have stopped. Of course, Race Day started on the soft tires. And Fire Flow hit not too long ago for another set of mediums, which is slightly a weird call, I'll admit, but a call that he definitely made. So I'm just wondering, what was it, 16 to 17 was the pit window from one to the other? Is that what the game told us? So I think that might be what we're going to be looking at here. As Brian Mosser's got a 3-second penalty. Actually, speaking of which, we have the penalty tracker open now. Travis Scott, 6 seconds. Edwin, 6 seconds. Mosser and Race Day both at 3. But I feel like we are going to see more penalties on the way. I would not panic quite yet if you are Race Day. Maybe not. Not quite yet. So making their way towards turns 9 and 10 now, as Edwin has now got a tenner for speeding into the pit lane. I feel like he might be retiring from the session here, as 16 seconds is one hell of a mountain to climb, as he is definitely now losing spots in the pit lane. Through 9 and 10. Well, that was quite wide there. Lancey, that car definitely got out of shape coming out of turn 10, and Nicky 64 is finally going to be able to capitalize and take the spot to the inside as Lancey's V-carb went well wide. Shiraya now to the inside of his teammate. Look at this! Contact made between the 2 Racing Bulls, and now the Red Bull of Shankadelic has gone wide, having been kind of gobbled up there by his teammate of Race Chase, and now Kelly Robb wants in as well. This is getting out of hand. Kelly Robb might have a look at somebody here. I tell you what, that was one hell of a jumble. That's the V-carb of Lancey. He's gone deep through the braking zone. Either that or he's had help from behind. I'm not rightly sure, but that car is losing spots left, right, and center. As Travis Scott's now got a tenner for speeding into the pit lane. Race Day to the inside of Gottney Weeb through turn 3. He's up to 8th spot. Edwin's now got a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. That'll put him at 19 seconds of penalty. Nicky 64 leads Shiraya by about 0.8 of a second, making their way through the back section of this circuit into the 9 and 10 switchback with DRS here. Ayahuasca, by the way, has 11 and nearly a half seconds over this fight for the second spot. Ayahuasca has been an utter tear of domination today, and unless a safety car happens and he's able to be, or barring a safety car or something ridiculously incredible happening, I think he might just start to walk away with this one if he hasn't already. As we have a yellow flag, Josh Sr.'s gone around. That is definitely a Williams in the grass/gravel. It doesn't appear he's hit anything, and so the track will stay green. Nicky 64 into the pit lane with the mediums. Shiraya stays out. So does Shankadelic. So does Kelly Robb. Nicky into the pit lane will assume the hards here. Anything else would be slightly wild, but a good stop it's looking here. Potentially, I don't know about that. He's actually ended up losing the spot to Race Chase. That was a little weird. Did Nicky botch the stop, or was that kind of a case of not wanting to have an unsafe release there by the Game Lords? I don't really know. That was slightly weird. So that'll bump Shiraya up to second as we have a yellow flag now. Oh, that's a Williams way off. That's Josh Sr. He has well overshot that braking zone. In through turn 11. I think he's gotten it back going, and we're good to go here. So, Shankadelic to the inside of Shiraya. I wasn't even paying attention to that, and the Red Bull has made that move. He's made that move count. Very nicely done. So what we see is this: top 7 cars all on to the inside of Shiraya now. Goodness me, he's getting overtaken pretty quickly here. Has to be said. Race Day in the 5th spot, of course, stopped very early on, 8-lap-old hard tires. He will eventually retake the lead of this Grand Prix. I think the original figure we said, it was a ridiculous amount of laps, wasn't it? It was like 20-some-odd laps he would have to do on that set of hard tires. I wonder if that's going to be his plan. It's mediums on for Shankadelic, and he's away. That might be the issue here that we're going to start to see. Is some of these guys are going to take, well, these guys currently on the hard tires obviously will take the mediums, and Race Day is going to have to fend them off with an old set of hards here. That's going to be ridiculously difficult. Of course, Race Day, one of the most talented drivers I know, but I mean, logically, that is not the place you want to be. It just kind of isn't. Ayahuasca still leads, 15 seconds the gap. Kelly Robb second, Shariah third. Shariah might be under some pressure here from Race Day and the not-so-distant future. Gotney Weeb does have a 3-second penalty and will need to stop, as well as Houdini, but I tell you what, they're up a good couple of spots. Weeb's actually plus 10 for the time being. I don't think it's going to stay that way, but hey, good stuff. Race Day to the inside of Shariah. Up to third now is the Mercedes. And he's got Callie Robb in his sights coming up next. Yellow flag coming through turns 9 and 10. That's the Ferrari of Gunner, who's mowing the lawn there on the inside of the corner. Again, I don't appear he's hit anything, and we can get back to racing here as he is ceded position to the oncoming traffic. Yeah, so honestly, it's difficult to tell the true race pace of Race Day right now. I mean, he's making up positions, as I think Gunner is just letting through one of the Alpines there. But yeah, I mean, we saw him on the softs in the beginning of the race. We haven't really, I'm not going to say we haven't paid attention to him, because that would be kind of rude to put it like that, but honestly, we haven't really paid attention to him. There's been so much else happening. Take a little bit here to see if he can reel in Callie Robb. Of course, his tires are more fresh, and oh, that's going to be a track limits warning there. Surely. This game has definitely gotten more lenient on how they've gotten more realistic on how they call the track limits penalties as far as the line is concerned. This game has definitely gotten better with that sort of thing. You definitely have a slight bit of leeway. Like that right there, I don't think would count as a track limits warning. In previous games, it just may have, but I don't think for this one. Making the way into turn 11 now. Edwin's up to 22 seconds of penalty after having a tenner for speeding into the pit lane, plus 9 seconds of penalty before that of just pure track limits. I'm assuming a pit stop coming up here shortly for Callie Robb. The answer is going to be no, however. I'm a little surprised at that, as Race Day still, for the time being, is going to try to reel him in here to the first corner. Here he goes, having a look to the inside. Well, maybe not. Perhaps exiting turn 2. Oh, he's gone a little bit deep in there through turn 1. Callie Robb's going to have a slight advantage as Fire Up Flow's now got a tenner speeding into the pit lane. And he's actually, well, in the pits right now. Let's see, I'm assuming he's putting on the meat. No, those are fresh hards for Fire Up Flow. As we've got Nicky 64. Oh, is he going to get squeezed here into the wall on the outside? That one was a little risky. He wanted it on Race Chase. He still might be able to have it. Still a wheel to the inside. God damn it, the game has kicked me. Oh, this hurts my soul. Oh, this just hurts my well-being. It really does. Why must you do this to me? No, I don't really care right now. That's just not even true. Pain and suffering is all I can say. I tried to talk nicely about EA, and, well, it hasn't worked, has it? It just really has not gone the way I've wanted it to. I hope somebody sees my struggle and invites me. I kind of doubt it's going to happen, which is just so unfortunate. Well, now what? Oh, okay. Well, that just totally breaks my heart, is what that does. Just when you think that everything is going in the correct direction, you know, But I heard a very good quote the other day by Chef Gordon Ramsay. It says that when the shit hits the fan, you gotta know how to dance in the storm. And I think that's a fantastic way to describe this sort of thing right now, because shit has definitely hit the fan here. And, well, I definitely have 2 left feet. I don't quite know how to dance. Oh, if anybody in the Division 1 lobby is seeing this, it just hurts my soul, to tell you the truth. Because genuinely, it's not like I can just rejoin the session. I mean, I don't know. Mosser is broadcasting. For the time being. If I watch his broadcast, it's probably going to kick me from this one, although that would be a fantastic thing to be able to do. Oh, Brian Mosser, you are the best. Can it work? Please do the Lord's work and get me back into this game. Brian, do me the distinct honor of restoring my faith. Oh, yes! What a fucking legend. Brian Mosser, I owe you at least a cold one, but potentially more. Okay, I will say, if there's any pet peeve I have about these new games, not even getting kicked from the lobbies, it's that the invite system with EA is just terrible. Having to, first of all, having invites disappear if you don't open them immediately. Anyway, we've got 10 laps to go. Ayahuasca's still in the lead. And it looks as if we've had a round of pit stops not too long ago, as we kind of expected that we did. Yes, Ayahuasca has just freshly pit. Race Day has actually just pit again for fresh mediums. Okay. So, what does that leave us now? Race Chase in second, 6-lap Old Hards. Nikki 64 in third. Shankadelic fourth. Lancey fifth. Race Day P6. But Race Day, Race Day has picked up a tenner for speeding into the pit lane. Goodness me, that is unfortunate, friends, that's for sure. Ayahuasca leads this race, Nikki 64. Once again having to battle for the for the second position. As initially he was battling Lancey, it appears now he's battling Race Chase. That's a tenner for GSR Edwin. 25 seconds of penalty as we have a McLaren off of the back. Fire Up Flow has spun himself around, and that car definitely looks to be in not the best of positions. Cali Rob has gone wide somewhere along the line. That car is off the track, at least temporarily. I think going through 3 or 4, potentially. Seems like he's kept it clean, but that car was not entirely in the best position. Here goes Race Day to the inside of Lancey through turn 9. And heading into 10, he will be the benefactor of that. And believe it or not, Race Day will have DRS for a second time, exiting this section of corner, because it's only just the one detection point for these 2 DRS zone. It's actually coming out of turn 7 is the one detection point for both of the 2 back section of the track DRS zones of sector 2 and sector 3. And then of course there's just the one detection point for the one going down the pit straight, and then the one coming out of turn 2. So, I mean, realistically, if you're in a good spot, if you're able to get around 1, going through the first section of DRS, you are in a fantastic position, as Lancey has now picked up a 3-second penalty. That'll keep him it'll be P5 after all said and done, assuming that he's able to keep ahead of Shreya Coleslaw, at least on Delta. For the time being, that is quite close. Ayahuasca on the mediums, Race Chase on the hards, Nikki 64 as well on the hards. We'll take a look at the tire ages once again. Race Chase and Nikki both 8 laps old. Shankadelic 7-lap old tires. Now here's my thing with Shankadelic right about now. It does not appear as if he's actually closing the gap on the 2 cars ahead of him, despite being on those medium tires. I actually think it's quite stagnant. As we got a yellow flag again, I believe Gunner is, he's just doing a bit of donuts there, as Josh Sr.'s got a 10er for speeding in the pit lane. A lot of pit lane speeding penalties in this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of which. That is an uncommon number. I kind of expected to see time penalties, considering that we were, on the no line and whatnot. That much I kind of expected. But having this many pit lane penalties is a little bit strange. I'll admit. Potentially somebody knocked down the pit lane speed board on the way in. I mean, that definitely happens. I remember having a Division 3 race in Imola where that happened, where somebody had taken the pit lane speed limit board on the way in, and I mean that for a lot of drivers is the marker at which of where the pit line is. As you can't always see the white line on the ground actually on the way into the pit lane. A lot of people use that board as their marker of kind of when to brake, and if that's not there, that does hurt drivers. Oh, the Red Bull of Shankadelic has gone off. Yes, he has. That car is in the barriers. That car was in the gravel exiting 6 and 7, and he is hit the barrier on the left side, getting out of that gravel trap. And as he kind of gets himself back up to speed here, he's missing the end plate on the left side. That is definitely not good for Shankadelic. That is gone drastically wrong for him, a driver that we kind of expected to be in the hunt for the podium here, and it kind of no longer looks like that's going to be the case. Super, super unfortunate for Shankadelic, as we kind of just missed a good battle that. It's not a battle so much. Kalirov is inside of the back marker at the moment. 0.5 of a second between Nikki 64 and Race Chase. This is, as we have another yellow flag, I believe it's Trismic again, potentially. Sorry, Gunner again. This is the most prominent battle on track, Nikki for the second spot. He's had himself a hell of a day, and the question remains, will he be able to hold on to this result here or improve? Because I think Race Chase has got a hell of a lot of pace for the time being, as Shankadelic, yes, into the pit lane. As that car has done a wrong-in somewhere along the line. Element appears to have gotten around Shankadelic, although I think Shank is exiting the pit lane. Oh, I believe he's spun. Yes, he has. He's either gotten out of the way for traffic or has kind of spun out of position there. I think that it appears to be pretty difficult to be getting tires up to temperature is what I'm noticing. We've got a lot of guys spinning out of the pit lane and kind of, really struggling. So Nikki down the pit straight. We got 5 laps to go here. 0.6 of a second back to Race Chase. Chase still does not have DRS to anybody ahead. What I will say is this. Ayahuasca entering the territory of when the medium tires start to get a little bit older. Do we see a universe in where Ayahuasca potentially makes some sort of mistake towards the end of his run and allows the other 2 drivers back into the fray? Because we did start to see, at least in the case of who is it that we were looking at? Was it Shankadelic? Yeah, he hit like 7-8 laps on those initial set of medium tires that he had not too long ago. And that car really was not gaining any ground of the cars ahead. Matter of fact, Ayahuasca has, he's gained about 0.2 since the beginning of this lap, I'll admit, but it's a very fluctuating number. He's not really gaining or necessarily losing time at the moment. That is something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Looking a little bit further back now, Gottney Wee potentially in a battle here with Kalirov and Shiraya. He does have 3 seconds of penalty, but will not be losing the spot to Cake Thomas for 9th if it does stay this way. As what I am seeing now, Nikki appear. I'm thinking he's had a bad exit of one of those final 2 corners, because that car is now outside of a second back to Race Chase, and I'm not entirely sure. I think he'll still have DRS. Yes, he does. But that car definitely, yeah, a little bit sketchy there. Race Day's got another 3-second penalty, 16 seconds as we have a yellow flag behind. Houdini to the inside of Kate Thomas now for the 9th spot, and up to 9th will be him. Driver of the day, I think, at this point will be given a Race Chase +7 in the positive direction. Potentially Gottney Weeb. Weeb does have the penalty. Unfortunately for Kate Thomas and Travis Scott's down 6 and 7, respectively, as well as Shankadelic, and I don't really know. We'll have to keep an eye on the stewards' reports later on, because, again, I don't entirely know which is, necessarily due to the damage of other drivers or, just due to error. I'm not entirely sure. Kelly Robb to the inside of Shariah now. He'll take the 6th spot. As ahead, Nikki 64, around Race Chase into turn 11. That's a damn good move. Slightly unexpected there, has to be said, but the door was left open, and Nikki 64 said, "Hello, I will welcome myself into this humble abode," and that's exactly what he's done. 3 laps to go at the line this time. Nikki, having now been in the 2nd position for the first time in this race, by the way, he's been fighting so hard for the 2nd spot the entirety of the Grand Prix. This is the only time this race he's actually even been able to sniff the 2nd position. And Ayahuasca, as we said, I kind of thought we were going to start to see a slight fall from grace from the Sauber. But I think as these two cars battled, that did afford him an additional 2 seconds. So Ayahuasca is running away with this one faster than even I expected, realistically. He's got so much pace. And keep in mind, next time out, we're going to Silverstone, but we're racing that thing backwards. So, for what it's worth, we're going to be in for one hell of a show when that day happens. I have been looking forward to that race for so long. Let's just be honest. That has definitely been a bookmark of the calendar I'm so excited for, as well as the 5th anniversary Grand Prix coming up at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Quebec, Canada on August the 7th. Just so ready for that one. Race Chase is still, I think, respectably close to the back end of Nikki 64. 6/10 of a second with 2 laps to go. That's not exactly a comfortable gap to have at this stage in the game. However, nothing is out of the question here in Division 1. Half a second is not all that insurmountable of a gap to be had, especially considering you are on the same age of tire as the car ahead of you. I'll once again open the penalty tracker just to keep an eye on who will potentially be finishing where. It looks as if Callie Robb is going to be gaining at least 2 positions here. Gottney Weeb will be losing 1 to Shariah if, assuming he doesn't put 3 seconds back to the Racing Bull, as, this one's getting quite close, coming through 8 and 9. We'll go along with Race Chase now. I tell you what, that was very closely a look there in through that section of corner. He thought better of it. A little bit of battery being used. He's not going to be able to into turn 11, but we are going to have ourselves one hell of a battle on this final lap of the Albert Park circuit. Ayahuasca, who has dominated all day long, is going to be beginning this final lap of the Albert Park circuit right now. Nikki 64 will begin this final lap about 4/10 of a second ahead of Race Chase. I tell you what, Nikki is losing time through Sector 3. That much I am sure of. That car looks phenomenal everywhere else on the lap. That 3rd sector is a struggle for the Alpine. Exiting turn 2, Race Chase is in position. Look how much more battery he has. 90 compared to 15%. Race Chase is going to have all the time and power in the world going through that DRS section, 2 DRS sections, on this final lap. He will have this opportunity. Whether or not he takes it is going to be up to him. Making their way through 6 and 7 for the final time. It appears as if, well, Callie Robb actually might get a move on Lancey here as well, but we'll keep an eye on this battle for the time being. Here it goes. Energy store being used. Nikki trying to break the toe. DRS activated the Red Bull around the outside, and that one was to be expected there. Race Chase has the position, and now will also have the DRS exiting turn 10, and still has 50% of his battery remaining. Although, Nikki 64 using every last ounce he possibly can. But I don't believe we'll be able to make anything happen unless something ridiculous happens. But the only other thing ridiculous this race has been the domination displayed by Ayahuasca. Out of the final corner, down the pit straight, and he will win the Australian Grand Prix, and for lack of a better term, dominating fashion. Out of the final corner, and it will be Race Chase taking the second spot. Fantastic battle on the final lap. Race Day will be losing quite a few positions here. Callie Robb up to 4th, and it's such a shame for Race Day how well he started this Grand Prix. It looks like he will finish this day in 8th. He started 2nd, by the way. It's not a miserable season for Race Day, but for the time being, I don't believe he's even in the top 5 of drivers' points, and for a guy who's won 3 championships on the bounce, that is not what you'd like. Cake Thomas to 10th, Fireflow 11th, Shankadelic 12th. Tell you what a race this has been. Despite the game giving me the middle finger, despite the bugs, this has been a fun one. Very happy to have shared it with you. Ayahuasca, your winner today, and I tell you what, next time out, we're heading to Silverstone to race it in the reverse direction, entering the land of the unknown, and goodness me, if ever a race to tune in, it's gotta be that one. Hotspot. That's who I am. Midwest F1, that's who this is. What a fantastic race we have just had today, and we'll see you for the next one. Well, that is a brilliant, fantastic thing at the end of the race. I didn't know they added that. That's pretty freaking cool, that. Huh. Hey, well, that is a brilliant addition.